It's always a pleasure playing in the finals. Coming throughout a career, the games you want to play is the grand finals. We work to get to these positions, to get to finals, to play for trophies as a club, as a playing group. So we're just where we need to be.
Those do or die games where we perform at our best with. To be in another final is very special, and to take, I guess, the record even further, push for the 9th will be pretty good.
Sydney United we have a long history with, and I think that's just backed because we're both successful clubs. So we're both used to being in these positions, we're both used to fighting for trophies, and that's why the games are so intense.
It's a unique rivalry we have with them. We're quite close with a lot of the boys. It's not like off the field that we dislike each other or anything, but on the field, as soon as we cross the line, it's battle, and yeah, I think that makes the game even more special as well.
We approach every game the same, which is to win absolutely everything, and we're very clear with that approach. We actually enjoy the occasion a lot. We've had the atmosphere in the B League, you know, with our fans coming out, and we hope for that again for this occasion, because again, not every game's a grand final. So we've normalised getting to this stage, but we want to see the support that we know that we can get and get over the line.
Our supporters are the best in the competition, they're the best in the country, and no matter what game it is, they'll show up in numbers. So especially on the finals, it gives us that extra boost, and who wouldn't get excited playing in front of a crowd like that.
Upon us, 14 cups, 140 years of collective history colliding for the state's oldest prize. Sydney United 58 versus APIA Leichhardt from Valentine Sports Park to decide the cup winners. Sydney United have had a stranglehold over this trophy in the last decade, a win here, and they'd have captured 5 of the last 10. They're second under Miro Vlastelica, who steered them to glory 3 seasons ago against this very opposition, themselves familiar with the taste of success. In his 3 years in charge, club legend Franco Parisi has collected a new trophy for his personal coaching cabinet in every single one. Now he looks to win one back for the first time and take this prize to Lambert Park for the 7th time in APIA's history. Good evening, everybody. Alex Molchanoff, my name, and to take you through the evening's events alongside me, the respected voice of Nicola Pozda. Nico, great to be with you.
Great to be with you too, Alex. Another final, another big game between two massive rivals, two teams that have shown this season with their league form that they are amongst the best, if not the best, in the States and potentially in the country as well. So much quality across both of these two teams, and I think we're in for a really, really good final.
Yeah, and despite all their shared history, a growing recent rivalry, this is just the 2nd time they've met in this cup showpiece. You mentioned that one back in 2023. And this is how they line up tonight. A few changes for both, some eyebrow raisers. 2 changes from the team beaten by Sydney FC a week ago for Miro Vlastelica, or on the weekend, I should say. Michael Glasic comes into the heart of defence with Adrian Vlastelica dropping out, and Tomoki Waratah makes his first start in quite a bit of time in for Tomislav Ozanic. A back 4 of Rule, McGinn, Glasic as mentioned, and Nakano. A midfield 3 of Rose, Waratah, De Oliveira. And then a front 3 of Leroy Jennings, Mason Wells, and restored up front in the 3rd change, Michael Krislovic. For APIA Leichhardt, a complete rejig. 7 changes. Oliver Kalatz in goal. Cameron Fong, Kyle Shaw, Michael Kuda and Sean Simmons the back 4. Eddie Kaspers, Fabian Monge and Michael Cornestabo through the middle with Saya Kambiashi and Alex Denmead, the wingers, behind Presley Ortiz. Just 4 retained from the weekend for Franco Parisi in that 2-0 loss to Rockdale. The only ones remaining there, Michael Kuda, Eddie Kaspers, Cameron Fong and Sean Simmons, with Temba Muatamalo and Rory Jordan out of the squad altogether tonight. And so, all in readiness, Rowan Fisher, our referee, gets us underway. 9 the number for Sydney United. A step from Dissetti, should they defend the cup tonight. APIA in their way, looking to mete out a measure of revenge for that defeat 3 years ago. It sets us up for very entertaining viewing this evening, Nicola.
Yeah, look, I think when we look at those lineups, there's quite a number of big outs, and you look at the form of, in particular, Rory Jordan over the last 4 weeks to 6 weeks. He's been outstanding, and to have him outside of the squad completely, it speaks volumes of the depth that APIA Leichhardt have, but also when you're missing your leader and your general on the park tonight, like Sydney United are in Adrian Vlastelica, you've got to see who will step up in his team. But as we've seen so far this season, they've got lots of players who can step up when the time is needed.
And you mentioned Jordan, a very good goal-scoring record in cup finals. He scored in the last two he's played in. Michael Kuta was the man of the match in the last one he played in a couple of years ago at Jubilee Stadium, and he hoofs the ball clear. Classic tries to return serve. A tough touch for Bailey Rule on that far side, and APIA controlling the early territory.
I think APIA will be looking for a response as well after their weekend game. They didn't play their best game of the season, and even speaking to Sean Simmons pre-game, he said it was their worst performance of the season so far. So Franco Parisi will definitely be expecting a big turn from his team in this game tonight.
Sean Simmons captaining tonight and in his 6th Waratah Cup final. Quite remarkable record. Here's Fabian Monge back into midfield tonight. Rare turnover. Finds McGing, and now it's De Oliveira's turn to try and go forward. Michael Krislovic, the leading scorer for Sydney United in all competitions and the Cup this season. Not quite able to get on the end of that. He's been preferred to Kyle Chimenti tonight up front, Nicola, and Chimenti's found some goal-scoring form over the last month.
Yeah, I think that's what Vlastelica has in his locker too. He's got two players that he can call upon whenever required who can find the back of the net. Krislovic perhaps in slightly lesser form than his teammate in Kyle Chimenti, but a lot of work to do for both strikers, and we know how dangerous Krislovic can be when he runs at the defence, especially when he's given space in behind.
Saya Kambiashi without a goal since last year's grand final. It was a pretty spectacular one. Couldn't take that ball in his strides.
Could be a time he steps up in a final, Mulchi.
I hope I haven't gone too early with that statistic. I'll say that. Always a threat, Saya. We'll talk about the depth, and Alex Denmead so often a depth player for Franco Parisi, getting his chance up front tonight as well.
I think the likes of Denmead and Farinella deserve to play much more than what they do.
Fong's cross is low and steered clear by Glasic. Bandaged, as he seems to be more often than not these days.
Yeah, copped that knock against SD Raiders a couple of weeks ago, and we know he broke his collarbone last year before the Oz Championships and was definitely in the wars last week.
Oh, that's a poor turnover from Sydney United and almost punished. Conestabo just on a slightly different page to his teammate there. APIA's pressing is bringing them a lot of early joy against a Sydney United team who haven't quite come out of the blocks here. Simmons pressing high again. Conestabo and Caspers, and Ortiz has now flitted out to the left-hand side. Step over and gets to the byline. Almost seen off by Rule, cleared away by Jennings.
And Mulchi, you mentioned the pressing from APIA. I think without Conestabo in the squad on the weekend, it really affected their press. He usually leads that from the front.
Route 1 stuff from Sydney United. Kuta. Whoa, and Kalatz has made a little bit of a mess of that. He did well to steer himself out of danger after almost running himself right into it.
And that's what you're going to get from Krislovic all game. He does not stop running for those nothing balls and will make every single one difficult for the defender to deal with, and the goalkeeper on this occasion.
Nakano for Wells. He's been in and out of the team recently. Mason Wells. Talk about APIA's depth. Sydney United have been building some over the course of the year, as Nicola's mentioned. De Oliveira has it nicked off his toe by Kambiashi stepping into midfield, and Caspers wins the free kick.
I think Eddie Caspers' work and Dylan Rose, they are probably the two best sixers in the competition, in the NPL competition, I should say, in 2026. I think a lot of their work goes unnoticed, and it's our job to make sure we sing the praises of them when we get the opportunity, but them two are absolutely standouts for their sides.
Maybe we'll have a central midfielder win a gold medal again one day. Wouldn't that be nice? Sean Simmons has one of those in his locker almost a decade ago. He couldn't quite find the run of Saya Kambiashi, but then he's won it back. Ortiz dancing through defenders in the penalty area, and McGing eventually brought the run to an end. He looks lively, Presley Ortiz, rested on the weekend by Franco Parisi to have him ready for tonight. He's been carrying a couple of injury knocks through this season, Nicola, but didn't look to be too affected there.
Yeah, it was precautionary, grade 1, from what I understand. Wasn't in the squad, rested completely, not even on the bench, and in preparation for this final, Of course, no Oscar Gonzalez available for APIA Leichhardt, a major loss for them. I don't think we can announce it yet, but A-League bound. So and I think that's a homage again to the coach Franco Parisi and the club being able to promote a player into the A-League. And Max Corder, I'm sure, another that's on the bench tonight, not too far away from that either.
Monge battling for possession with Wells, and Casper's had to bail him out after all of that. Kuda clears the danger more completely. Now he's Bailey Rule. Jennings. So it's such a troublesome time with injury over the past couple of seasons. Good to see him back fit and raring to go. Chance to score as he did in the 2023 edition of this final. Equaliser just before half-time. But quite a coming together that day at Leichhardt Oval. All that after Sean Simmons had been sent off. So be looking for a measure of redemption tonight.
Spoke to Simmons pre-game about that, and definitely still very, very fresh in the memory, and something that still frustrates him to this day. Feels like it really cost APIA on that evening.
Classics ball forward, searching for Jennings. The Fijian flyer can't quite reel that ball in. It's interesting. We're going to talk a lot about the depth of these two teams tonight because there's threats on the bench as well. But in getting here, there's been quite a few players used. 24 starters for Franco Parisi heading into the final tonight. Sydney United, by contrast, have used just 16 of those across their 5 games. Throw-in's gone their way this time. Right in front of Miro Vlastelica, who has left son Adrian on the bench tonight. De Oliveira can't turn away from trouble. Rule retains possession with the help of Koya Nakano, who's proved a big game player in his early Sydney United career. He's only 2 goals in red, white and blue so far, coming against this opposition and Marconi in 2 big occasions for the Sydney United club.
Here's one for your stats, Mulchi. Koya Nakano played another big game last year in the final of the Waratah Cup as well, but not in Sydney United colours. Right. In Northern Tigers colours on that night, and unfortunately for him, didn't come away with the trophy. Sydney United winning that one 1-0. Luke Juvela, the scorer.
There might be some parallels drawn between he and Krislovic. Juvela quite got on in the manner that Krislovic seems to after his ripping start to the season. Casper's tidy as ever. Retaining the ball with Kyle Shaw, the Spirit Junior. Stood to the heart of defence tonight and trusted alongside Michael Kuda, a big game performer.
I have to say, across the two teams, that was probably the biggest surprise inclusion, I'd say, in both starting 11s. Not that I think there's anything wrong with Kyle Shaw's performances, but I didn't expect the likes of Temba Matamalo to be dropped for Shaw. So a bit of a surprise then. Eijin Kishimoto as well, who's been present in the centre of defence, also moved to the bench. So a surprise move, that one from Franco Parisi.
Both teams maybe just trying to mess with their opposition plan in naming the team sheet tonight. As Denmead gets a shot away, and it might have fallen to the feet of Conestabbo. Still alive in there, and eventually a combination of Glasic and Nakano managed to scrap the ball clear. APIA building consistent pressure over the opening 10 minutes of this cup final. And they go forward again through Kambiashi and Conestabbo. Here's the ever-reliable Cameron Fong, and that's a nice ball in to the box for Denmead. Glasic is getting a lot of work in the centre of defence at the moment. And eventually Jennings clever enough to work the ball free of danger. And De Oliveira, he thought he'd won the free kick. Rowan Fisher right on the spot and waved away the appeals. So Denmead can carry the ball forward now. And Nakano has the better of him. It's been relentless from APIA, but Sydney United standing up to the pressure well. It's had the intensity of a cup final, hasn't it?
Yeah, some really good scrambling defence there on 2 occasions now. They've been under pressure, under the caution. They've dealt with it well. They'll need to deal with it well, but they'll need to get the ball on the other side of the half because APIA has so many threats in that front third that one of those will eventually fall their way, and Adam Pavlicic might have a bit of work to do.
Nakano gets it back from his own throw, and Monge is too quick for Waratah to nick it off his toe. Been dominant through that centre of the pitch at the moment, haven't they, Nicola?
Yeah, and I think that's where this game will be won and lost, really. It's the centre of midfield. Whichever team takes control, I think they'll be the one that ends up coming away with the trophy this evening.
Denmead with a bit of a blind pass. McGing a crossing cover. And Pavlicic happy to clear his lines.
And again, how will Shaw deal with these sorts of situations with Krislovic on his back?
Did okay that time. The pressure from Sydney United's centre forward has won his team back the ball and just given them a little breather from the siege that APIA were laying on Pavlicic's net. Both teams that want to play with the football, that built themselves around dominating the opposition in possession. It always makes these clashes very entertaining to watch, doesn't it? Because you've got 2 teams that want to play on the front foot and think they're the superior 11 more often than not.
We spoke about it at pre-game, how much quality there is across the 2 teams, and in particular out wide for both sides. There is so many goal scorers for both teams, and even you look at the wing-backs, Bailey Rule offers so much going forward, as does Sean Simmons on the opposite side. Cameron Fong, you tend to see him more in attacking positions than defensive positions in a lot of games. So let's hope we see some goals soon.
Picked up by Wells. You can see how congested it is that he's darting into the centre of the pitch to pick up possession. Kambiashi for Caspers, and now there is a bit of space for Cameron Fong to get forward. Tries to play provider, and Connor Starbo was in an offside position. Was he? No! Nodded down and fired over by Saya Kambiashi. Yes, so did I. Isaac Riggs. In fact, it's Daniel Kornowski on the near side tonight. There was a flash of yellow and orange in our eye line. But Saya Kambiashi with the first clear chance of the Waratah Cup final and can't force Pavlicic into a save.
You know what, that was actually a really good opportunity. I think that flag that looked like was raised perhaps put him off, because there's no doubt I thought I saw a hand fly up there.
The fact that it caught both of our eye lines, Nicola. Not often you get both commentators looking at the same part of the pitch like that, when it's not as close to the ball as you might think. This is a nice touch from Krislovic and a nicely developing attack for Sydney United. Oh, he just needed a red shirt attacking that ball. De Oliveira hooked away by Fong.
I felt like in that situation, Mason Wells had to gamble. It's a real shame when the winger doesn't take that opportunity there. A beautiful chance to see United, their best of the game so far. And Mason Wells should have gambled.
5 goals in all competitions this season, 2 in the cup run. Starting on the left tonight as well, Nicola. Does that suggest to you Miro Vlastelica wasn't expecting as much of the ball, where he's able to dart inside on his left foot and get shots away? We've seen him score so many goals like that.
Well, perhaps it's more about delivery to Krislovic, trying to get a good cross into his striker, who we know is quite physical as well, so that could be the reasoning behind that.
Nakano did well, and De Oliveira is driving forwards again. Second time in a couple of minutes. Wide is Jennings, and there's the ball to Wells, who opens the scoring in front of raucous Sydney United support. They absorbed the early pressure and then fired in the opener.
Just as I mentioned moments earlier, he didn't gamble at the back post. This time he didn't. It proves dividends for Sydney United. They hit the front. Again, though, it's that man, Carlos De Oliveira, making the forward runs, finding the forward pass to Jennings. And at the back post, they make it 1-0. Mason Wells with the goal.
His name etched in Sydney United Cup history, illustrious company, and laid for him on a platter by Leroy Jennings. The two wingers combine, and Sydney United 58 have raced out of the blocks in the Waratah Cup final. How do APIA respond? All those changes from the weekend for Franco Parisi, it looked to be going pretty well, but they've been caught by a sucker punch.
There is still a long time to go in this game, and you expect APIA to be the fresher of the two teams, not just because of those changes. Don't forget, Sydney United also had that semi-final go all the way to extra time as well, an extra 30 minutes, and lots of football being played in the last 21 days for them. We'll see how they react to that as the game progresses. We know this will be a tough game for both teams physically, and also they're playing on a grass pitch, so a lot heavier than playing on a synthetic.
This is the first time in the Cup this season that APIA have trailed. Kept 3 consecutive clean sheets after the opening round 10-1 victory. Yes, you heard that correctly. 10-1 victory over Banksia. And then led by 4 goals to 0 in the semi-final against SD Raiders before being pegged back into that contest. So Nicola, you said to me after that game, the scoreline belied how close it was for the majority of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. There were so many chances at both ends, but really I feel as though SD could have got a little bit more from that game now. Perhaps unlucky. Some clear-cut opportunities as well, which they didn't take. And the other interesting fact, I think, is that Sydney United scored early in 2 cup finals in a row. Last year, 7 minutes. This year, 15. So even though they didn't start the fastest, they found the back of the net before their opposition, and now they're in a really good position.
It's funny, the games they have won, the key ones recently, have sort of followed this similar pattern. They seemed to be on the back foot against Marconi in that big game on Easter Monday. They managed to get the result there. It's been where they've been quicker out of the blocks, where they seem to have struggled to come home with the wind between their sails. So maybe they found the right resolve tonight. As you say, though, lots of football yet to be played.
They're generally a very well-disciplined side, a tough team to break down. And they've had moments, and they won't want to remember that cup semi-final against Sydney Olympic, where they're up 2-0 cruising and need another 30 minutes to get through.
Nakano, cut off by Fong. And striding forward again, he's given them a lot of impetus. Getting forward from right full back Cameron Fong. We talk about Caspers and Rose being the unsung heroes in the centre of midfield. I don't think there's too many better fullbacks around the competition than this young man. Now they've got to find a response of their own. Weren't able to on the weekend against Rockdale Illendon. Different starting lineup tonight, different set of attacking talent.
To be fair, in that game as well, they didn't really test Rockdale until very late on in the piece, and if they leave it too late here, I think that it could be the cup heading back to Adenza Park.
For the ninth time, it was the first major trophy that the club won back in 1974. 1-0 victory over St George Budapest.
A long time ago, that one.
I'll have some more for you during the night, Nick, I promise.
I love your statistics, mate. One of the best in the business, there's no doubt about it.
But a pretty good records at Valentine Sports Park in finals as well. We remember that final last year against Northern Tigers. They played one here in 2015 against Blacktown City, won that by 1-0 through a Chris Triantis strike in the 85th minute, quite at the opposite end of the game. But this scoreline has got it done for them twice here before over the past 11 years. Krislovic just battling up there, but knows that being a nuisance is enough now that his team have the lead. The thing about these cup finals that we've seen generally, Northern Tigers won last season, was a bit of an outlier in the fact that it didn't produce too many goals. The 3-1 between these two back in 2023, and APIA are looking to find an equaliser here. Connor Starber. Been lively early, just faded to the periphery a little in the last 5 minutes. Monge and Fong now. This time he's beaten Nakano to the byline, and the cross is good. Denmead has it taken off his toe by Wells, who's lending a hand defensively, and APIA have their first attacking corner of the night.
It's a lot better from APIA. They're a lot more intent there going forward. There was that period before the goal and perhaps a couple of minutes after where they didn't really show any intent to go forward, and as soon as they did, they're again putting United under serious pressure.
Moving the ball very sweetly on what looked a pretty good surface when we walked across it about half an hour before kickoff. Denmead's delivery, and well, there were more red heads up there than gold shirts. Simmons! And a good block by Waratah, who did well to get his arms out of the way and get his midriff right in the path of Sean Simmons' left foot. You know what sort of damage that can offer.
Yeah, I think Simmons will be a bit disappointed really with that effort. I think he could have done a little better there. But the veteran, as veterans do, showing his experience, calling for a handball, but a very good block on the line there by Waratah.
A little bit of the early pace has gone out of this game. Both teams have settled in to their rhythm and their systems. Connor Starbo and De Oliveira battling. Fong in an attacking position again. Took the wrong option. Easily cut off by Glassick. And Sydney United looking to go in transition. Krislovic just a step offside. We were right in line with that, Nicola Posda.
I'm going to disagree with you, Mr. Molchanoff. I think he was just onside there. A very tough call. We'll get to see it now on the feed as well, but definitely very, very close. And I guess he was just on, but tough to see.
Isaac Riggs is the assistant on the far side tonight. It was borderline. VAR or semi-automated.
They haven't done that yet.
VAR, not quite.
Yeah, right.
I think it's in discussions.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
This is the way we like it. None of that stuff. Denmead. It's a testing effort. Skip just in front of Pavlicic. That can be awkward for goalkeepers at times, but probably not one of Pavlicic's quality.
But again, I think that's a lot better from APIA. They need to start shooting from distance. Cameron Fongo, I think on a couple of occasions, could have pulled the trigger, but looked for the pass instead. Needs to test Pavlicic, as does this APIA team.
You can hear the boos for former Sydney United goalkeeper Oliver Callatz.
I thought that was for me.
If you get a bit closer, they might be, Nika.
Potentially.
Was Father Jelko there as well? They were there together for a short time as goalkeeper and coach.
Enjoying the beach in Croatia now after Iraq's been knocked out of the World Cup.
A very strong Aussie contingent in that coaching staff of Graham Arnold as De Oliveira presses and a little overzealous as Kuda tried to wriggle free and now takes the free kick quickly. Simmons switch. Denmead with an inventive controlling touch. Not sure how much he knew about it, but it was effective. Fong returns it to Denmead. They've been good, those two down the right. And can they find the delivery to bring the equaliser? Not quite. But Koya Nakano is being given plenty of headaches down this near touchline. Pace and poise of Fong and Denmead. And now maybe the right boot of Connor Starbo. Jennings, everybody in red until that pass, except Krislovic behind the ball. Ortiz's header didn't get the purchase he was looking for. It was a well-directed cross, though, and APIA seemed to be creeping closer and closer.
That's what Simmons can bring, that beautiful left foot, sweet delivery into the area, and Ortiz just unable to crane his neck back just a little bit to get more purchase on that and head it toward Pavlicic. But a great ball and another good move for APIA. They're starting to pick up again.
got a really interesting Australia Cup tie. Of course, this is a culmination of the State Cup, but the national rounds of the National Cup competition getting underway over the next month. Top of the table, Peninsula Power from Queensland coming to Leichhardt Oval to visit. It'll be one of the last events at Leichhardt Oval before it's closed for renovations. Tuesday the 14th, looking forward to that one. Got defending to do first here though, APIA, as Rule gets forward really for the first time from right back. He was aiming for Jennings, away at the front post by Kuda. And Ortiz seemed to be being dragged back by Classic, and that was spotted by referee Fisher.
Good strength from Ortiz, and he'll need that, more of that throughout this game, being able to hold the ball up. Two very physical central defenders in McGing and Classic. It'll be a tough gig for Ortiz, but something that he'll really need to continue on to try and give his wingers and Conestabile the opportunity to join him in attack and put Sydney United under some more pressure.
Really healthy crowd in for this cup final. I'd say probably a little healthier than a year ago as well, Nico. With APIA's involvement, Sydney United always bring a great contingent wherever they go.
From my understanding, I think there was around 1,000 tickets sold a few hours before kickoff, so
no doubt we've added to that as well.
Good crowd for a midweek cup final.
And this venue, for some of its drawbacks, does make it feel very full and close to the action wherever you are around the grounds. Here's Simmons. He's less favoured right, so he thinks better of the shot. Conestabile didn't break the wall of red in front of him at the first attempt. So regathers himself, gets it back off Denmead. Lovely little pirouette, and the shot is deflected away. Still APIA come again. Monge. Caspers. Simmons. That's a good delivery towards Ortiz, and the telling touch was Nakano's because it took it onto the shin of Denmead and behind for a Sydney United goal kick. This has been the story of the first half in its majority so far, Nicola, but we still don't have an opening goal for APIA.
First off, I've got to say, thank God there are no hydration breaks, because we'd be in the middle of one now. But again, I have to say also, thankfully, Simmons didn't take that shot on the right foot. I think it would have ended up behind us here on the bus line. But again, they're looking dangerous when they move that ball forward.
Just got to be careful of these attacks when the ball goes long and over the top of their defence. Krislovic holding it up. De Oliveira. The best midfielders in the competition for the past couple of seasons. Barely missed a minute for Sydney United over those two campaigns. Nakano. Back to McGing and Classic, the entrusted defensive duo tonight, who have held up their end of the bargain for near on the first half hour. You can see Miro Vlastelica in shot there, pleading for a free kick from Rowan Fisher. He'll have to settle for a throw. And now the throw's gone APIA's way as well, just to throw everybody off. Well, that's not going to endear the officials to the Sydney United head coach. His team have won the ball back for him. There's some sense of sporting justice in that. And APIA have won the ball. It took a touch off the referee, but was already in their advantage. Kambiashi, Conestabile, stretching for the football, and it deflects away. And Sydney United survive a bizarre little passage of play, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think Fisher got in the way there. Unfortunately for him, he tried to jump out, but couldn't quite get there. In the end, Vlastelica let the fourth official know how he felt. I'm sure they'll be attempting to not make any further mistakes.
It's often the way now you see referees stop play there, don't you?
Yeah, well, look, I think I've seen a lot of football this year, as have you. I think Rowan Fisher's one of the best referees in the competition, and he's allowed to make an error here and there.
They've got to stand somewhere, don't they?
That's right.
It's Kambiashi. Lovely link up with Monge. Perfectly weighted return ball. And now the quick feed to the Japanese midfielder. Have found his way into the area. Classic flicking the ball up so that he could clear it himself. So aware of what's around him.
Some technique there by Kambayashi to just dance down the line. Didn't have much space at all, but again, APIA is starting to look more and more threatening. The quicker this ball moves, and the quicker they can get up the field, the more dangerous they look.
Putting effort after effort together to try and break down Sydney United. They're not quite managing it to this point. This is back to the old days, well, not the old days, a year or so ago, until the Australian Championship at the end of last year. Sydney United had APIA's number. They hadn't beaten them for almost 4 years, and now they haven't lost against them in 4 consecutive meetings. Sydney United trying to right that bit of the rivalry tonight.
I hope the people at home are enjoying your statistics as much as I am, Mulchi.
Not meant to point them out, Nick. Feed them in.
It's an art in itself.
Waratah. APIA step back from their press just momentarily. Well, there's nothing too fancy about Glasic's ball forward. It might be effective though. Kuta cutting it out.
I think the ability to be able to send that ball forward like that when you need to, if things aren't going your way, you can't find a pass, you have the likes of Krislovic making those darting forward runs, always creating trouble and difficulties for the opposition defence.
Classic. Couldn't find the Oliveira, but it's won high by Jennings. Krislovic just on a slightly different page of the same chapter to Leroy Jennings there. And the switch of play from Kambayashi just settles APIA slightly. Can APIA build their way out? Just over 10 minutes plus whatever's added on at the end of this first half, in which they've been dominant in terms of territory and possession, but have not had their rewards on the score sheet and have copped a goal. I think they'll feel a little disappointed with defensively, Nicola. Ball just driven across the face of goal, and Wells completely unmarked at the back post. He won't score too many simpler than the opener tonight.
Yeah, Cameron Fong went to sleep just a little on that opportunity, and they've been pretty disciplined up until that point. Not really giving United many opportunities at all during this game.
Cross from Monge. We talked about all that pressure. Adam Pavlicic has only really been called into one meaningful save, and that was straight at him, caught on the bounce. Might be just lacking a little bit of cutting edge. We know they've got plenty of reinforcements on the bench should they need them during the second half. Jack Stewart, Max Court, Jordan Segreto. Franco Farinella has pretty good attacking instincts as well as Franz Deli, who could make his club debut in a cup final tonight.
Wouldn't that be a story should Franz Deli write his name in the lights for APIA coming off the bench in his debut game?
And said that, Sydney United have got some pretty good ones there as well. Farakoko's been free scoring through the qualifying rounds of the Australian, or the Australia Cup I should say. More defending to do first before they can think about that though for Sydney United. Kambayashi, thoughtful, scheming with Connor Starbo. Caspers. Wide for Connor Starbo, who stayed out on that left-hand side and this time got to the byline in a crossing position. Over the head of Denmead though, and Fong has to recycle.
Again, that final pass, final touch just hasn't been up to the mark, and that's why they haven't been able to test Pavlicic so far in this game.
Shaw's turn to have a run forward. Ball had a bit too much weight on it for Denmead, and Mason Wells is back there, lending a hand defensively. It's about as deep as I've seen Sydney United in a game this year. Forced upon them by APIA, but they are standing up to the challenge to this point. Kuda. Shaw. Game slows to walking pace for just a moment. Fong. Stepping inside Wells. Ball forward was cut out initially by Rose, regathered by Caspers. Fong looking for Eddie Caspers again. He wants that left foot. Fong, they're playing a game between each other. It's the final delivery there, not quite. Last touch was Sydney United's though, and APIA will be able to go again from the throw.
You just look at how deep, as you said, United sitting, how many players they have back behind the ball. And this is why I'm saying players like Fong need to hit the ball from distance.
Conestabo can do that. Thumped it into Rose. Caspers has a go. And now it falls for Monge, not a regular goal scorer. There's a couple of appeals for a handball. Corner kick, says referee Fisher.
And there you have it again. Shots from distance, giving something different for Sydney United to have to deal with. APIA trying to pass them to death and pass through them. It's not working. Shot from distance is something that they need to resort to right now.
Saya Kambiashi over to take the corner. It's usually pretty accurate from these. Is this the route to goal? There's a flick on at the near post. It almost fell to the feet of Shaw. Not sure that's where he would have wanted it. He stays up. Caspers almost had too many options and didn't pick the right one, but wins the ball back as he so often does. And Wells was sticking to his task. Another attack seen off by Sydney United.
Just saw Wells there pulling off the press as well, slotting straight back into this disciplined shape for Sydney United. There's a gap there, and Denmead does well.
And Nakano with a gamesman-like foul.
Bit lucky there not to get a yellow, Mulchi.
Would be harsh, but that's the sort of foul that his coach will appreciate, I'm sure. Allowing Sydney United to get back in their shape again. They are inviting a lot of pressure, though. Simmons lines up with his right.
Surprised me with that right-footed effort. Hit quite nicely.
It's not with quite the venom of his left. And then Monge turns the ball over. Tomoki Wada sitting, screening in front of his defence. All hands on deck for Sydney United. Still hold the goal to nil advantage through Mason Wells. Open the scoring just after the quarter hour. Chances have been few and far between since that. Simmons. Conestabo's found some space, and Ortiz just fell as he was turning and couldn't get the shot away. Now Rose is running the ball clear. Come back by APIA again. So for Michael Conestabo, has scored in a Waratah Cup final against Sydney United back in 2022, but it's Ortiz this time. Couldn't find the return ball for Kambiashi and then commits the foul out of frustration more than anything. Is this how it's going to be the rest of the way, Nicola? Can you see Sydney United finding a way out? Can they hang on if they defend this deep for the rest of the 50-odd minutes we've got to play here tonight?
I think it will be. I even saw them when they played against SD Raiders a couple of weeks ago. Even though they had a man to their advantage, when SD put the pressure on, they really sat deep and they were very confident in being able to keep a clean sheet, confident in their defensive structure and their discipline. So it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. The thing that worries me a little bit as this game progresses is...
Oh, nearly a big mix-up between Simmons and his goalkeeper, and then a big appeal for handball. As he retreated there, I think against Michael Kuda, it was all very chaotic. And it all came from the miscommunication between Simmons and Kalatz. And knocked off the floor by Krislovic into the arm of Kuda, but I'm not sure he could have done much to get out of the way of the ball, even if it did strike his arm. Sydney United with a chance to try and bed down some sort of attacking supremacy for just a moment, and that clearance brings a big cheer from their supporters. Been watching anxiously since they took the lead, really.
Yeah, I think Kuda couldn't really do much there with that ball coming to his hand. It's just an unfortunate situation for both teams. United wanted the pen, it was never going to come, and for Kuda, I guess it works out fortunately for APIA. Who knows where that ball could have ended up, but still.
A neat piece of interplay that was cut off by Eddie Caspers, who's looking to release them in transition, but Ortiz had taken up a wide position rather than one straight through the middle. Pavlicic clears coolly to the cool, crisp night air. It's not as cold as it can get in Sydney at this time of year. We've had a pretty warm winter, all things considered, and a light jacket enough for most tonight.
As I was saying before, when we're talking about the weather and the conditions, I feel the field is getting a little bit more dewy, a little wetter, and you've seen a couple players slip over.
Monge making the third man run that time. He's cut off by Waratah, who tracked him out to midfield. Sydney United happy enough with a corner deep in their defensive half, although we see teams take kickoffs to set themselves up in this sort of situation now as an attacking side, as you can call it. Sydney United, with the luxury of Krislovic up front, and his strong hold-up work has got them out of that little area. Waratah's running in behind, has drawn another attacking throw.
United just showed us moments ago how dangerous they can be on the counter, and a team that hasn't really created many opportunities, probably could be 2, maybe even 3 goals to the good. They've been more concrete in front of goal than APIA, and that's something that Franco Parisi will need to bring awareness to in the second half.
That's something you couldn't have said about them last year, could you, Nicola? It speaks to their growth as a club under Miro Vlastelica. There was a lot of questions after the championship last year about just how young they'd gone and whether the turnover of player was healthy. I think the performance at the start of the season and then the start of tonight has proven that project is headed very much in the right direction.
2025 definitely in terms of the championship was very disappointing for Sydney United. They can't say embarrassed themselves, but for a club of their stature you expected so much more, especially being on the national stage, and he probably woke them up a little bit as a football club, and we're seeing a much better Sydney United in 2026 in the league, again in another final in the cup, and I'm sure in the championship we'll see an even better performance.
And the culmination of Miro Vlastelica's last tenure in charge was the 2023 Cup final. Took over midway through 2022 with things not trending in the correct direction. Ended with silverware. Looking for a second complete, but Contestavo has struck back. Another goal against Sydney United in a cup final. He loves these occasions, and he's finally beaten Pavlicic. An answer before half-time for APIA Leichhardt. Their pressure finally pays.
Well, this one really coming out of nothing. Out of all the possession they've had deep inside United's half, again, it's the quick 1-2 passes that create the space for them. And what a finish from Contestavo into the bottom corner. There was nothing Pavlicic could do to keep that out. And we're level now, and it's the perfect time for APIA to score to get themselves back in the game.
And it's the two up top, really, isn't it? Ortiz with a very clever touch for his number 10, or number 8 as Contestavo wears for APIA, to belt the ball home past Pavlicic. He got a hand to it, but it was struck with far too much venom.
We spoke about how key Ortiz's hold-up play will be against these two central defenders. He needs to draw them in. He needs to hold them up and be able to feed through Contestavo and Denmead and try and create chances like they did there that would lead to goals.
You're right in saying, Nicola, it was a period in which APIA hadn't looked particularly dangerous. But football weaves narratives like that. And Denmead's going for goal. McGee in the way, bravely so. Fong, full of endeavour. The ball was only a yard or two away from finding Ortiz. And now it's the APIA fans who were full of voice, and why not?
Don't mind that from Denmead whatsoever, having that shot from distance, and then the ball from Cameron Fong as well was delivered into the perfect area. Presley Ortiz just slightly off from making it 2-1.
And now Sydney United need to come out of that defensive shape slightly as we tick towards the second half. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this unfolds. Right on a knife's edge, the Waratah Cup final. That goal makes it the first time that both teams have scored in a cup final since their last meeting in 2023. That game went to extra time.
Does that mean we're heading to extra time again, Mulchi?
Maybe. Maybe. 45 minutes to find the answer. What an engaging opening half of this Waratah Cup final we've had here at Valentine Sports Park. Sydney United took the lead against the run of play through Mason Wells on the end of a Leroy Jennings cross, and APIA found their answer in the shadows of halftime through Michael Conestabbo. He scored the opener against Sydney United in the 2022 Cup final for Spirit. He scored the equaliser here for APIA. And as everybody heads down the tunnel for the break, it's Sydney United 1, APIA Leichhardt 1. Nicola, your thoughts on that first half and how it played out? It ebbed and flowed, didn't it?
Well, I think on the balance of play, APIA perhaps had more of the ball. They looked more threatening than Sydney United. But Sydney United had the better chances. They hit the front comfortably. And in the end, like we said moments earlier, when it looked as though APIA wasn't in control, was the moment that they managed to find the equaliser. And I think the second half is really in the balance here. It'll be interesting to see how these two teams come out. As I said earlier, Sydney United played a lot of football in the last couple of weeks, as has APIA, but again, United, that extra 30 minutes, they haven't had the capability of rotating their squad as much as APIA has, and it'll be interesting to see how their fitness levels hold up in the second half.
We will be back to take you through all of it. Nicola Pozda, Alex Molchanov here for Deploy, the official match ball of the Waratah Cup in 2026. Half time here, second half. With you shortly on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, reiterating the scoreline. Sydney United 58-1, APIA Leichhardt 1. It's funny, I mentioned in the pre-game the first time these two played back in 1963. We'll come back to that as Callaghan shoots, spilled by the goalkeeper and then turned wide. What an opportunity to open the scoring. The bedrock of their success in 2026. As that ball's played behind Chimenti. Turning is Atzi. Looking for support. Wells gives it to him and forces a flying save from Orlovich. Let's hope Olympic can be encouraged by that rather than held back by it. Hall's hopeful ball didn't find a player in blue, and this is a very dangerous situation now! What a goal from Carlos de Oliveira! First blood of the semi-final of Sydney United, and how! Measured it to perfection, bent it below the crossbar. He's got the taste for goals at the moment, Carlos de Oliveira. Wells goes the variation to Bailey Rule. And now de Oliveira has got a double. Everything he touches is turning to goals. And Sydney United have 1 foot in the final before half-time here. Rule for Jennings. And now Artsy for de Oliveira. We're growing in success and stature. Well, it's a poor ball from Gordon. Waratah sums things up. De Oliveira for his hat-trick. Just the wrong side of the post, and he's as frustrated as anybody. Michael Melito as well, by the looks of things. A little bit more firepower, and Grossos can strike these. He's given them a path back into the game. He's a master over the dead ball, Peter Grossos. And he has provided another moment of magic here. It's the only sniff of goal Olympic have had here in the second half. Not too many shirts in blue forward with him, and now all but Krislovic wearing red behind the football. Sydney United clinging on. Kukuchka. What dangerous ball. Pavlicic can only palm. Grossos! Unbelievable! Olympic from nowhere have salvaged the tie, have salvaged the semi-final.
for a second round in a row. Where has this come from?
The score is now Sydney Olympic 2.
Vlastelica looking to play leader, and he's fed Krislovic. Is this the moment for United? It's the wrong side of the post. Or is it Kukuchka down that left-hand side, right-hand side? He goes to ground. The whistle was never going, and the full-time one goes instead. But the Olympic fans are up and about. Their team have got them to extra time. A year that has gone so poorly for them in league football, but it's going to be a test. Sydney United to come with renewed vigour in extra time. Protezina with the cross, and Coco's found the goal. It didn't take long at all. Brilliant piece of play. What a way to open the scoring in extra time. Protezina played his part, laid it on a platter, really. Well, you mentioned the clash in this competition between these two last year. It's following a similar script. Rule, a big challenge in there. No penalty given. No, it is. After a long think, Ethan Svargoulis points to the spot. He went to his left on that occasion. Where does he go here? Oh, he goes to Panenka. Why not? The spectacular finish. Well, he wanted it, Michael Krislovic, and didn't he deliver? You can look the fool. He looks the genius there. Perfectly executed Panenka. Good win by Hong. Well-timed challenge on De Oliveira. There's numbers streaming forward here for Olympic. Grossos is full of confidence. This time Pavlicic up to the task. A flying save from United's goalkeeper. Seemed to have long departed, but starting to play some smart stuff. De Oliveira for his hat-trick. Oh, very good save from Orlovic. Protezina knocks it back. Another save from Orlovic. Michael Krislovic can't buy his second goal of the evening after precise Panenka in the first half of extra time. He's denied by a brilliant double save, and now he might have a third opportunity. Krislovic makes no mistake this time. Orlovic got his defence in a right mess, and Sydney United finally have secured their spot in the final. It has been a grinding, messy night's work. And that is that. What an achievement. Miro Vlastelica leads his team to another Waratah Cup final. It has been their competition, the most successful in the Cup's history here in New South Wales. Have reached another final. It was
first time pass from Fernandez, Cooper, Hannigan, one-on-one, Hannigan! Great save by Alex Parks. Alex Parks making a very good save. Now ball played over the top for Denmead. Great touch this time to get around Rag. Finds Court, and Max Court buries that one in the bottom corner. Powerful effort. Finds the back of the net, and the home team take the lead with their first real shot on target. Here's Monge, bit of space, could he have a shot here? Monge goes direct and tipped over the top by Lucas. Heavy touch as Cameron Fong comes away with the ball. Court wants it played centrally. Still Fong, plays it forward for Court, cuts it back for Gonzalez. And it's two. The two teenagers combined. Max Court and Oscar Gonzalez. This time Gonzalez with the finish. And APIA now calming things down. Here's Caspers. Leaves it for Monge, who got a little bit too comfortable there. Gave it away. Chance opens up. Everett's deflected just wide. It may have in fact come off his own player. You can see every time APIA spot an opportunity with the press, which has been executed almost perfectly in this game so far. They come away with the ball. They've got it back again now. Here's Denmead. Alex Denmead buries it in the bottom corner. Again, APIA absolutely clinical here tonight. Alex Denmead blasting the ball beyond William Lucas, and APIA go to a 3-goal lead. Everyone inside, bar Lucas inside the opposition's half for the Raiders. Great ball in, headers there, and how have the SD Raiders not scored there? And then Clark stepped up again, saving from a header from Charlie Ragg. This is what APIA have done in the first half. They were clinical, and Gonzalez again, as cool as you like. Max Court with another assist. Oscar Gonzalez with the finish, the combo again. Court and Gonzalez, they make it 4. And Gonzalez, how about that for a run? Oscar Gonzalez, and he got too cute. Poor decision. And had to overcome St. George City FA away from home. Santarossa looks to find Malbasha, who scores. A consolation. Yakov Malbasha scored on Sunday the winning goal against Rockdale, and this time getting on the end of a fantastic cross by Thomas Santarossa. Taking the pace out of the game, slowed things down. Or have they? Cox Barlow, cross goal. Aramugo makes it 4-2. Just as it seemed APIA had taken the sting out of the game, SD Raiders pull another back. Robbie Aramugo. Once this ball's sent forward, the final whistle should sound. And it has. It's full time at Lambert Park. APIA Leichhardt will be in the 2026 Waratah Cup final. They defeat the SD Raiders by
Welcome back to Valentine Sports Park, the 2026 Waratah Cup Final coming your way on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. My name is Alex Molchanoff, alongside me Nicola Posda for the second half, which is about to commence. And the scoreline is 1-1, courtesy of goals from Mason Wells, a tap in from inside the 6-yard box on the end of a Leroy Jennings cross, and an equaliser from Michael Conestabo, a left-footed strike that Pavlicic got a hand to but couldn't keep out the back of his net. And so we are beautifully poised, Nico, for what should be a very engaging second half. Your pre-match tip of a draw is looking pretty good. Erred either way in terms of that?
Look, I think that, like we mentioned just before we went off air, think APIA had the better of the first half, but it was Sydney United that whenever they actually went forward, they looked like they were going to score. And I think that's something that APIA will need to address if they're to come out winners in this one. And I think Sydney United, they need to find a way to move forward more consistently and be more dangerous in attacking third, which they haven't really been for longer extended periods of the game.
Sean Simmons might be trying to do that by getting forward from left full back. Didn't win out with Rule that time, and now Krislovic is giving the APIA defence a test off their shoulder. Between them, Shaw and Kuda figure things out. No changes from either team at the break. I have to think that they won't be too far away, given the amount of football both these clubs have played so far in 2026. Fong thinks his way out of danger, and Nakano wins the ball back for Sydney United. Rose clever as always, and De Oliveira drawing the challenge and the free kick.
Just looking at the substitutions, it'll be interesting to see who each team goes to first. I'd have to guess that Jack Stewart would be one of the first ones that Franco Parisi goes to, and I've got to think Cimenti and possibly Tilo or even Coco will be the first ones that Vlastelica goes toward.
Stewart part of that starting team in 2024 that defeated Rockdale by 3-0. These are the last two winners of the Waratah Cup. Have to go back to Spirit's win as a second division side in 2022 that afternoon at now Landon Stadium. Michael Conestabo was a hero that day. He's trying to rub salt into the wounds of Sydney United here again this evening. He's had a fine start to this game. He's caught late by Jennings. Fisher says play on, and Kambiashi can face up Rule. He's looking for gold shirts to get forward in support. Eventually, Simmons is arriving and looking to deliver. Low cross cut out by Glassick, and this game is taking the shape that it established in the first half, with Sydney United defending their goal desperately. APIA trying to find a way through. Kuda's header. Conestabo's flick. Cut out by De Oliveira. And one back by Fong. Has been up and down that right wing endlessly so far this evening. Denmead square. Kambiashi inside. Gorgeous little back heel for Kaspers. Simmons. And that is a uncharacteristically poor pass. That sees the end of the move. Those sorts of areas, Nicola, have been a point of contention for APIA. They've not been able to find the killer pass.
No, and again, I feel like Alex Denmead just, despite seeing a lot of the ball, hasn't really been able to get into the game as much as he would have liked.
Turned over by Kaspers, and Wells is forwards. Kalat's diving for his near post, but always comfortable. The ball was travelling wide. That's a little bit of a let-off there for APIA. Wells is usually one of the best strikers of a football from that sort of distance in the competition.
Definitely one of the best left feet in the league. We've seen him score some spectacular goals. Just pulling that one just slightly wide of Kalatz's goal. I think he would have at least liked to have made him make a save, and not so on that occasion though.
Kambiashi, fleet of foot, quick of mind. Simmons with a second wasteful ball consecutively. Puts his hands to his head, I should say, in frustration, and then slides in to nick the ball away from Jennings. Fell to Rose's advantage. It's been a frenetic start to the second half, just like it was the first. And a crude challenge there from Shaw. No whistle blown by the referee, though, despite the protests of Krislovic and De Oliveira. Certainly wasn't accommodating the APIA central defender, and then Rose with a clean touch of the ball away from Denmead. End-to-end stuff here in the opening stages of the second half of the Waratah Cup final. Rule making his way forward. Another one of those like De Oliveira that's barely missed a minute's football in the past two seasons. He overlaps Jennings, enters the area. Kuda, well, he was in front of his goalkeeper. Kalatz gave him a shout, but better to be safe than sorry. Don't know how safe this corner will be from an APIA perspective.
See the likes of Glassick and McGinn going forward, offer real aerial ability for Sydney United, and if they can be found, APIA will have a lot to contend with here. No Temba Mwatamalo at the back either, and so confident in the air. They've crowded colours as well.
This would be interesting. Wells goes to the top of the box. De Oliveira meets it. Didn't get the strike away on his right foot as he would have liked. Rule keeps the pressure on with the ball forwards. Wells brought to ground fairly by Simmons. And now Kambayashi's away. Both teams looking to go forward quickly. And the flag stayed down as Ortiz gets off the shoulder and bears down on goal. McGinn across in cover. Ortiz squares it up for Kambayashi, and Glassick with the telling touch. And Sydney United look up and go straight forward again. This ball taking Jennings just out of play.
What a great start to the second half we've had. Action at both ends. Both teams really not leaving anything to be questioned, or just putting everything out there, giving all they have, trying to find the go-ahead goal. And look at that again from Kambayashi. It's fascinating, the technical ability of these Japanese imports that we are so lucky to have play in our leagues.
Kambayashi probably top of the tree. Denmead! Well, he likes that left foot, but didn't get the dip on the strike he was looking for that time. Perhaps just the contact, full stop.
That's 4 or 5 now of the last APIA attacks that have broken down with Denmead. Probably, as I said earlier, hasn't really got going as we've grown to see him, and maybe the occasion getting the better of him this evening and getting a start he probably didn't expect either.
You mentioned Jack Stewart. Think he's not too far away?
Well, I've just seen him get up off the bench, gone to the change room. Not sure if he's getting some last second shin pads or something to get himself ready, but I'd expect him to be coming on soon in place of Alex Denmead.
He had a fine final 3 years ago, struck the crossbar from the best part of 25 yards. Was unfortunate the day didn't fall his way. It's the best on a losing side. Here's Sean Simmons. Classic cuts off the cross. Rose away, the 19-year-old who plays with a maturity beyond his years. Skills honed in A-League academies through his teens. So the same of Cameron Fong, whose cross brings a clearance from McGinn that takes the ball behind APIA corner.
I think the first change of the evening will be Farah Koko. Those going through some pretty rigorous warm-ups and getting spoken to by Miro Vlastelica now as well. So that'll be the first change of the evening. I wouldn't be too surprised, not too far away either.
Gold shirts making their way towards the area.
Sean and Kuda, no strangers to finding the back of the net.
Particularly from corner kicks as Pavlicic makes his way through the crowd. Kaspers comes up with an air swing. The recovering challenge was pretty tidy though. Well, you see both sides of Eddie Kaspers right there.
Phenomenal challenge from Kaspers. Wins the throw as well. And the shot, perhaps not the best, but the recovery, my word, exactly what we spoke about before. His work rate and how much he's improved. Fantastic for Franco Parisi's team this year.
We'll have to lend another defensive hand here as Wells makes his way forward. De Oliveira trying to play conductor this time, and getting towards the point of attack. Rule. Beautifully clipped ball for Waratah, and it thumps so satisfyingly off his boot through our effects, Mike. Kuta ungainly but effective, and Denmead took the ball positively. Rose again. How many times do you see him do that? Screening in front of his defence.
Singing the praise of Rose and Kaspers this evening have just shown exactly why we mentioned earlier on. They are so important to both of their teams.
Kambayashi's growing in influence as well, and Conestobo's starting to find space like this between the lines. Links up with Monge. Michael Conestobo and McGinn got enough of the ball for the referee's liking. Conestobo's in disbelief.
You could hear the contact from where we are, and I thought almost certainly that's a free kick, and it would have been a very, very dangerous position as well. Again,
They work the ball to that left-hand side, and Conestobo's just left unattended
through the centre of the pitch. King, he did get a lot of the ball, but he certainly caught the man as well, didn't he?
Absolutely. It was a lucky escape there for Sydney United. They would have had to deal with the free kick in a very, very dangerous position.
Denmead couldn't bring the ball under his spell. And now might be the time for change for Sydney United. It is Farakoko, picked up from Manly United in the off-season and has been a regular starter. Come off the bench a couple of times in this cut campaign to great effect as well. And it's the end of the night for Leroy Jennings, who has become such a popular figure here at Sydney United over the past 4 seasons. Despite these injury problems, pretty effective tonight. Setting up the opener for Mason Wells. Coco, a scorer of 3 goals on this cup run, looking to add a 4th and most important.
And Wells now moving to the right wing as well, where he's perhaps a little bit more comfortable. Farakoko's done a lot of damage this season down the left, so something different for APIA to have to deal with now.
That was an awkward one for Caspers. Judged it to perfection though, and APIA might be away. Kambiashi can escape Rose, easier said than done. Still they go at it. Conestabo in to help out, and it's Sydney United who emerge with the football. Courtesy of De Oliveira, and now Rule, who goes for goal himself. De Oliveira, the follow-up. Krislovic was onside as well. The ball scraping the crossbar, and I don't know if he'll get a better chance than that tonight, Michael Krislovic.
I have to say, Mulchi, a lot of credit has to go to Rowan Fisher as well. Could have blown the whistle 2 or 3 times, allowed play to flow, and he hasn't really stopped the game too much. He's let it flow as much as he can. And that occasion, Sydney United almost reaping the benefits of it. As you said, Krislovic really should have done better from there. It did come at him a little fast, but still, that hits the target, and Sydney United are back in front.
Sort of chance he's made a habit of finishing off so far this season. He hasn't turned too many away. Might be a moment that we come back to talking about at the end of the night. Still over half an hour to play. Plenty of football left on your Wednesday night at Valentine Sports Park. Reminder, we need a winner in a cup final. Extra time and penalties to follow if we can't find a way to separate these 2 teams within 90 minutes. But Sydney United are having a good period here. And Wells is forward. Delivery with his right foot left a bit wanting.
It's interesting, APIA still haven't sent anyone from the bench to go and warm up behind the assistant referee on the far side. There are some light stretches happening, I think, from Jack Stewart, but that is just about it. Nothing else really. In fact, it's Jordan Segreta who's going through some stretches.
Fire and ice, the coaching duo in there. Franco Parisi, very much the cool head, and David DiPuzzo barking encouragement to his side, the assistant.
Don't forget Adrian Ucina showing us his quality that he still possesses before and at half-time as well, but also good water boy. Saw him bringing out cups of Powerade for the boys on the bench. Lovely work from Adrian Ucina. He's transitioned well.
Scored the goal of the season a year ago.
And now he's carrying Powerade for the subs.
Can't ask for much more. Give you a story about one of the more senior members on Sydney United's bench in a moment. As Denmead turns. Monge. Conestabo in this pocket of space between defence and midfield again. Kambiashi to the left. Again facing up to Rule. Again unable to find an on-rushing shirt with a gold hue. Oh, and now a bit of pressure for McGing to deal with. Sliding the ball to the right, and Classic says, let's end any doubts about that, and just clatters the ball clear. Bit of head tennis falls in APIA's favour. Simmons directing traffic, waiting for the moment that could come. McKing was a brave challenge because Kaspers was in close attendance. Kuda, the 2024 player of the match in the Waratah Cup final. Mighty scored as well against Rockdale. A convincing victory for APIA that night. They're not having it quite as easy this evening. It's just the third major final these two have played in their history, which is quite remarkable when you think of the respective successes. Mentioned that 23 Cup final plenty of times on the court tonight. They also played the 2019 League Grand Final, which APIA came out victorious from at Combank Stadium.
Some first touch there from Mason Wells. Ward just got away from him, but great anticipation from him to move that ball into an attacking position as he did.
It's classic. Bandage is getting a little darker with the sweat of the night's work, soaking through it. Kuda couldn't bring the ball under his spell. Wells from distance, and it might fall here for Krislovic. Brilliant save, Kalats. Spread himself at a moment's notice. Still the danger not clear though. Wells. Rule. How many more moments like that are we going to have this evening? A dangerous ball. Krislovic swings a boot at it. And Rowan Fisher thought about a goal kick and then said corner.
Yeah, big opportunity there for Sydney United. Chance fell to Krislovic, but some say left-handed save from Kalats. Did so well to keep that out. But again, Mason Wells already looking so much more dangerous down this right-hand side.
Well, Kalats back in goal tonight and standing up, or rather, getting down low when his team needed him. Wells with a follow-up corner. Accurate. Conestabo. Kalats only punched. Waratah. Again, it's kept out by APIA's Gloveman. Still the danger not clear. Coco! Through the crowd. Finds the net. And Sydney United have the lead back. Fantastic technique and a cool head from Farah Coco. Sydney United on track to defend their title with just under half an hour to play.
I think Ollie Kalats will be disappointed with his first initial attempt to punch the ball out. Couldn't get there ahead of the defenders and the attacking players. Didn't get the connection he required. Made the original save from Waratah. But the technique, the finish, the ability to find the bottom corner. Farah Coco, the super sub, puts Sydney United back in front. And now APIA have to come from behind once more.
In their best period of the match as well, Nico.
But they've really shown as soon as Wells has gone to that right, it was the change that Milov Lastelica made only moments earlier and already paying dividends.
Off the bench for his 7th goal in all competitions this season, Farah Coco. Managed 8 for Manly United a year ago. It's his 4th of the cup run. It is by far the most important.
Franco Parisi immediately sending his whole bench to warm up. Segura going through the more rigorous warm-up, and you'd expect him to be the first one to be caught over, along with Jack Stewart. Going straight back to the bench. I think we'll see a change very, very soon from APIA Leichhardt.
A classic cup final brewing. And APIA again having to dig themselves out of a hole. Twice they've trailed tonight. They spring forward with intent. Fong through the middle. Denmead. And Kambiashi as central as we've seen him this evening. Kaspers to the wand of a left foot that Sean Simmons possesses. Can he get a yard to get it in? A corner will do. And just clutching at his left hamstring perhaps. That's a bit of a worrying sign for Franco Parisi, but he's still going to make his way into the 6-yard box for this corner.
That'll be a big loss for APIA, but it'll mean a reshuffle as well. Michael Kuda will then come out to the left. He's no stranger to making really good darting forward runs.
Pavlicic defending the goal in front of the Sydney United fans. Stooping to clear was Nakano, and running the ball clear as well. Conestabo screening, keeping the attack alive. Caspers, Denmead, Alex Denmead, Ortiz, just wouldn't fall for APIA. Sydney United scrap another attack clear. Simmons. Dancing with it, Sean Simmons. Conestabo. Wide for Kambiashi, looking to play provider. There's no gold shirt there for him. Fong. Sydney United with a small win as they repel that attack. Fong into a dead end.
Bit of deja vu. Molchi, we saw something similar happen in the first half. Sydney United took the lead and then dropped immediately deeper back, and they've done the same again. It cost them in the first half late. Will it cost them again?
It's a dangerous cross. Pavlicic could only punch, and Kambiashi couldn't get his boot around the ball in time. It came to him so quickly, and the half chance departs. Casper's a bit too casual that time, and got enough of the ball to nick it off the toe of Mason Wells. Fong. Everybody takes a deep breath. A quarter of the match to play. Has it got one more goal? And if it does, who will it go to? Kuda, the futsalru, playing his way out. Denmead. And enough from Nakano to see the ball out of play. And here come the first two changes. So Jordan Segreto and Jack Stewart. It looks like it will be. Alex Denmead is off. And Presley Ortiz, who provided the first goal with a clever touch inside for Michael Conestabo, departs as well. Rested for this game, but only able to get through 68 minutes work. And there's a Sydney United change to come here as well. Tomoki Wada. It's been asked to do a lot of defensive work as the boos depart for cheers. And Tommy Ozanic started 13 games so far this season, has been the find of the year out of the junior system from a Sydney United perspective, along with Krislovic, where he can sort of start his first grade journey in the championship last year, where he was a couple of times a goal scorer.
High raps on Tomislav Ozanic, very robust midfielder, old school style. Doesn't smile much according to Adrian Vlastelica at training. Someone's got to remind him for that wry smile, but someone definitely to keep an eye on.
He's got a little bit of attacking quality as well. Started the quarter-final against Blacktown, a convincing victory. Out of sight by half-time that night. Sydney United against their old rivals. Hasn't been quite as one-sided tonight, but it has been another commanding display, particularly in the opening stages of this second half. Now they're looking to add to their lead. Through Wells. He's got his defender isolated. It's a brilliant piece of defensive work from Kuda.
I'll tell you what, Kuda gave him so much space to go down the right, worried about the left foot, and managed to recover just in time. As you said, excellent defensive work from Michael Kuda.
And then starting the attack by striding into midfield and linking up with Segreto, who brings Monge into the play. 3 APIA players to take the ball the best part of 80 yards. And now Sydney United back into their shape. Asking the question again of APIA, can you break us down? Fong might sit for Conestabo. Well, that really would make him the bane of Sydney United if he could find the back of the net again. Not to be this time, but a corner.
Jack Stewart as well, scoring in the league game against Sydney United a couple months ago now. Likes playing against United, likes finding the back of the net against them as well. Is this an opportunity for Stewart to potentially step up again?
He's almost as tall as Adam Pavlicic. I'll tell you what, we'll look at them there. Right in front of one another. Segreto delivers, it's deeper than them. Player running at the back post, and Vlasic clears the danger.
It was a good ball into the box, perhaps deserves something more there for APIA.
Stewart. Conestabo. And couldn't find the return ball. Nakano sees it over the byline in front of the supporters, who are growing in voice now. 20 minutes away from a 9th Waratah Cup for Sydney United 58.
United fans have found their voice as well. Going to try and help drive their team home now. Such an important part of United's culture. Always full of voice. And it's great to see them back as well, eh? Weren't there in numbers last year. As it happens with the results though, crowd numbers grow.
They demand success. It's a prerequisite at this club. Miro Vlastelica knew that when he took over the job again at the start of the year.
When you speak to Miro Vlastelica, he just seems so calm and so up for the challenge. There's no pressure whatsoever on him, and knowing the kind of club he's at, you'd expect that at times, but from him, he was more frustrated with the traffic getting into VSB today than what this occasion brings.
That's a Kwama share with him. As Wells goes forward and Simmons brings him down, offers a hand of apology. What could do well to offer one to some of the defenders inside him here, because this is going to give Sydney United a chance to deliver from a set piece in a dangerous situation. Just a slightly better angle than a corner. Be able to angle it in towards Kalatsu's near post.
APIA can't afford to concede a third goal, I should say. 2 goals of difference will be very hard to claw back.
Wells delivery. Only as far as Shaw. Clearance to Ozanic. Oh, it's hit the stanchion, or really the cross point where the crossbar meets the post. What a strike it was.
My word, Mulchi, I am lost for words. That was hit so perfectly. It could not be struck any better. Ollie Kalatz did not move from his spot. And the way the crossbar moved back, there was so much power behind that.
And it bent so far, Nico. It started a good couple of yards outside Kalatz's post, which I'd say is why he didn't dive.
Similarly this morning to Michael Elise, you just wish those goals in. Unfortunately for Elise and for Ozanic, without a goal.
Always looks better on the left foot as well, doesn't it?
Oh, left footers, mate, special footballers. Always got to pay him credit. Where credit's due. Right footer can never strike a ball like a lefty.
And Ozanic, who has had quite the impact since coming on, disrupting the rhythm of Caspers again there. APIA regather and send Kambiashi away. And Simmons is forwards. Oh, flashes it across the face of goal.
I think that Simmons' light done. Mulchi's grabbed at the hamstring again. Franco Parisi's called over one of his substitutes. And Simmons will exit this one, pushing his team so close to another equaliser.
His 6th cup final tonight. He's won 3 of them. He scored 3 goals in Waratah Cup finals in the past. Tonight, though, will not be his. 33 years of age, unfortunately, not going to be able to see out the 90 minutes, and hopefully APIA are still in a premiership race as well. They've conceded the lead to Marconi over the course of the weekends, but still only a point behind their rivals. And it's the youthful exuberance of Max Court.
Interesting
to
change
replace
that
his
one from my point of view. I did expect Eijin Kishimoto to potentially come in and push Michael Kuda to the left, and we know his attacking ability. Surprising change from my point of view.
So Kambiyashi looks as though he's gone to left back. Sure, he'll have plenty of license to get forward. Often pulls the right rein, Franco Parisi. Let's see if he's seen the correct equation this time. Monge with a rare turnover. Two screeners for Miro Vlastelica have done a wonderful job in the last 10 minutes or so. Fong is asking Coco to track back. He's gone a long way here, Cameron Fong. And a first touch for Court, the young talent. Blocked initially. Stewart tried to be a little too cute. Caspers keeps the attack alive. Conestabo too deep with his cross. To Bronx Cheers.
How about that touch from the fan from behind the goal? Perfectly back into play. If you like, I wouldn't mind one of those back on there. Someone arriving at the far post.
I was going to say, it's mostly the Sydney United supporters there. You'd think he'd be trying to push it the other way, wouldn't you? The old style supporters keeping the ball just to take a bit of time off the clock.
A rare show of fair play.
They've won this enough. They don't need to resort to that sort of thing.
That's how high the confidence is.
This would take them 2 clear at the top of the all-time leaderboard. Hakoah have 7. Sydney United's win last year took them to 8. Ooh, and a little sloppy from Kambiyashi, who lost his footing. Maybe something about that corner, Nicola. You said it was getting slipperier. Just seems to be that corner away to our right where players are losing their footing.
I think it'll continue to happen as the game goes on as well.
Krislovic.
I think these days players don't carry enough metal studs with them because so many fields are synthetic these days. There's no need for metal screw-ins, and even when they do play on grass fields, because of the rarity of them, it's a bit hard to transition back to the metals from the molded, so I don't think many players will be wearing them out there this evening.
Can APIA keep their feet and hold their nerve in the final 10 minutes or so here? They spring forward. Segreto. Couldn't feed Court.
Chance was on there for APIA. It was 4-on-4, but the pass from Segreto just behind Court and really stopped that potential for a very dangerous attack for APIA.
Mentioned this was the last time both teams have scored in a final since that 2023 edition. The last time both teams scored 2 was back in 2014, a crazy game of football, a 6-2 victory for Blacktown City over Manly United at Lambert Park, of all places. Hosted quite a few finals in the early 2010s, Lambert Park. Looks like the trophy's going to be travelling down to Adenza Park at the minute, though. Still time for APIA to force extra time, perhaps. Caspers. Again, it's an ambitious ball that's easily read by Rule. Has not put a foot wrong tonight. He zips that ball into the feet of De Oliveira. He and Caspers have been going back and forth all night. That's enough for Sydney United now. APIA with the pressure on them to try and break down their opposition. Fong. Coco, whose goal separates the two teams. Hasn't he had a night? Farah Coco. It's difficult for a player, isn't it, Nicola, who is a regular starter when you're not starting in a game of this magnitude, but still being able to come on and have a very big impact indeed.
I think Vlastelic has rotated his wing as well this season. We saw Gabriel Tilo playing a major role in the opening rounds of the campaign. Leroy Jennings, returning from injury, has done his part. Mason Wells has probably been the most consistent starter of all of them. Waratah will be very lucky to escape a yellow card down the far side. Silly from him, throwing the ball over the fence. Doesn't get a yellow.
Gets it ticking off. We haven't had a booking yet tonight. Said the game's been allowed to flow. It's certainly been the case. It's provided very watchable football. Two of the best teams in New South Wales. Two will be competing in the Australian Championship at the end of the year. Two will be in the Australia Cup throughout this month. Stewart's strike. Ambitious. Did well to get a shot away given the close attention around him, but it was well wide of Pavlicic's net.
You're not troubling Adam Pavlicic with that sort of effort. Time ticking. Getting closer now to celebration time for Sydney United. APIA has to create something soon. They haven't had a proper opportunity, aside from that Sean Simmons ball across goal. Since they conceded, they'll need to fashion one more chance. And the question is, can they do it? Right now, it doesn't seem as though they can break this disciplined defensive setup of Sydney United.
Football New South Wales would like to thank Deploy Sports, the official ball sponsor of the Waratah Cup final, with which Waratah beats Oliver Calats to give Sydney United the lead with just under half an hour to play here. They have been clinging on to that lead since. But having said that, as we said towards the end of the first half, Nico, Pavlicic has not been called into a meaningful save, really.
No, and now when you look toward the benches, it seems as Adrian Vlastelica will be the next to come onto the park. That just shows that defensive wall is getting a few more bricks added to it. It'll be much harder for APIA to break down when the skipper comes on.
And that will make him the second of only two in the squad from the team that beat APIA back in 2023. Leroy Jennings started tonight and has been taken off since. Speaks to the rebuilding effort that's been done out at Edenta Park to great aplomb. And if they can hold on here to even more silverware. Kuda and Kambiashi. Kuda again, getting further forward, wearing the captain's armband. They need a leader's knock. Segreta, twisting and turning. Monge spreads the play for Stewart. Conestabo, only half away. Stewart's there, blocked off the line by McGing. A very popular clearance, but APIA are pressing harder as the minutes tick away in the 2026 Waratah Cup final. Court beaten to it by Rose, and De Oliveira, with the help of Wells, can clear the danger. It was unorthodox and it didn't find the mark. Almost found Miro Vlastelica.
Pavlicic was beaten there. He dived the other way. The block from McGinn key to keeping the scores the way they are. United in front as the skipper prepares to come on, and that is a defensive change if I've seen one.
Yeah, it's the centre forward, Michael Krislovic, who's about to be taken off. So you think it will be a back five unless Classic goes into the centre of the park. And he is taking his time, Michael Krislovic. Miro Vlastelica about as vocal as you'll ever see him at the moment. Passing on instructions, making sure the formation is as steady and as set as possible for the final push, the final stand for Sydney United in front of their goal. As Coco takes it off Monge and is hauled back, and Fabian Monge is the first booking of the 2026 Waratah Cup final.
Smart foul from Monge after giving the ball away as he did. Needed to stop the attack from Sydney United there. Farah Coco, lots of pace. Going always to be difficult to chase down had he got away there. Monge had to make the foul.
It's key in there. Push for the title a few years ago. In 2023. Returned to the club after a short stint with Melbourne Victory. Coco into the area. Sliding challenge well timed by Fong. But the corner is a win for Sydney United at this stage.
We're inside the final 5 minutes. There is not much time left at all for APIA to get themselves level in this one and send the game to extra time.
So time taken and only about 3 shirts committed forward for Carlos de Oliveira to aim for from this set piece. It's right on Kalatz, who can only punch clear. Ozanic and then Wells! That seals it! And what a way to confirm your place in history. A 9th Waratah Cup coming to Adenza Park. Courtesy of Mason Wells' left boot.
And it was struck so nicely that it didn't even look like it went in. We had to double take there. The perfect strike from Mason Wells. That left foot right along the inside of the far post. You can't hit it any sweeter than that. And Sydney United will etch their name on the trophy for the 9th time. Unless for a miracle from APIA in the time that remains. But a very, very good performance, workmanlike from Sydney United.
And this is going to be the 5th time, they've won it in the last 10 runnings of this competition. They hate the title, the Cup Kings, but that is exactly what they are. Almost unbeatable in this competition. And they proved it yet again on the big stage. The names change, but the result stays the same. And a chant of "We're going to win the Cup" is finally unleashed by their supporters. Why not? One last roll of the dice for APIA, but you feel that game kills it off. That goal kills it off, I should say.
They haven't really been able to test Pavlicic as much as they would have liked. Again, massive credit to Sydney United. They've done what they needed to do at the back. They've held firm, repelled attack after attack. They allowed their opponent to keep the ball for the majority of the game without creating any real opportunities. Miro Vlastelic will be so pleased with his team's performance.
Hasn't been a poor performer, as cliched as it is. It has been all hands on deck at different moments defensively, and then they have really taken every chance that's come their way. A big cry of yeah from Bailey Rule as he turned. He started wearing the captain's armband tonight in the absence of Adrian Vlastelica.
Vlastelica, as he usually does, straight into conversation with the referee, but hey, you expect that from your leader. That's exactly what he brings to this Sydney United team. Bleeds the club's colours.
Actually played a cup final for APIA in his very early years. It's a decade ago now, but so closely associated with this football club. And also the success that they've had. This is his 5th final. And it's going to be 2 straights for Sydney United. It's going to be 3 and 4 editions. This is their trophy. And APIA, for the 2nd time in 4 years, are going to lose the final to this opposition by, it looks like, a scoreline of 3-1. Unless Court can take this on and they can strike late. Segreto blocked by Glasic. will be in conversation for player of the match. Kaspers, Kuda. That's a pressing ball. Konostabo had it taken off his toe by Glassick. Attack stays alive. Stewart. A lobbed effort that never threatened the back of the net. And Sydney United are nearly there. 4 minutes to be added on, says our fourth official, Hayden Langholtz.
And again, APIA's most dangerous attack coming via Michael Kuda, taking the ball forward from central defence. And again, that is where the problem has laid for APIA Leichhardt. Most attacks, more menacing attacks, have had to start from their central defender. We haven't seen Konostabo really get involved in this second half. He's been absolutely well marshalled by that man.
De Oliveira just hoists the ball into the night sky. Kuda can only head it down. Wells. Bozanic. Throwing his body about. Touch from De Oliveira. He's had a taste for goals over the last couple of months, Carlos De Oliveira. APIA regather for one last crack. Fong. It's a hit and hope. Cut off by Pavlicic. APIA 6-time winners, but this is going to be the 5th time they've been defeated in the final. Kuda. Under pressure, evades that. Kaspers. Can't pick a hole in the defence. Kaspers and Rule getting tangled up. McGing with a one for the cameras. Why not?
Full swing.
Enjoy it when you're winning. They don't come around all the time, except if you're playing at Sydney United, of course. McGing was an unused substitute a year ago, so this for him is going to be a very happy occasion as well. Coco. His goal got the party started in the second half. A thumping strike through a crowd of APIA bodies. He's been left on the turf as court plays on. And the ball had travelled out of play.
Again, this defensive play from Sydney United. Both central defenders, Rose, they've been phenomenal for them. The way they've stifled every attempt to get forward from APIA has been fantastic all game.
It's been a collective effort, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And it starts with Kristolic from the top as well. Working hard, getting back, supporting his midfield all the way through to Pavlicic, who made the important saves when required.
And as sweet as last year's victory would have been against the Northern Tigers, who knocked APIA out in a big semi-final upset, you think the calibre of opposition tonight will make the victory just that little more sweet, as well as the recent rivalry that's drawn between these two. Because when they play, if silverware isn't immediately on the line, it soon will be, and it's heading Sydney United's way. A 3-1 victory, the same scoreline as the 2023 final, and the same results. Mason Wells with a double, either side of the break, and either side of a goal from Farah Coco, which gave them the lead after half-time. Michael Konostabo's strike for APIA, not enough, as they are vanquished at VSP. And it's a 9th Waratah Cup trophy for Sydney United 58, Nicola Pozda.
As we mentioned, it was a whole team display here. It's so hard to pick out one player in particular that really stood out. Every single player on the ground today did. As you said, Wells with a double, but we have to look at that defensive display. Against this APIA attack that can hurt you from any angle, they stood firm, they worked hard for each other. The central defenders, the midfield, all of it. We said that the battle will be won in midfield, and I think that's where it was. Despite all of APIA's possession throughout the game, it was United in the end who got it when it counted, found the back of the net when it counted, and won the battle in the end.
So that's how it finishes. That's it from us. For Nicola Posner, for Alex Molchanov, thank you for your company tonight. Stay tuned, though. The trophy presentation will follow shortly after the final of the 2026 Waratah Cup has finished. Sydney United 58-3, APIA Leichhardt 1.
Waratah Cup final here for 2026.
Well, is everyone
On
here?
behalf of Football New South Wales, just like to congratulate both teams on qualifying for today's final and putting on a great game of football. It certainly was, Zach. So can you please give both teams a huge round of applause? Now we can only have one champion, and of course for 2026 it is Sydney United. And would you please keep that applause going for your runners-up today, APIA Leichhardt. Now Deploy have been the official ball sponsor of the 2026 Waratah Cup, and Football New South Wales would like to sincerely thank them for their ongoing support of the great game in New South Wales. To all of these supporters here for both teams today, thank you for your attendance. We had around 800 this evening, so please give yourselves a round of applause. Now assisting with today's official presentation, would you please help me in welcoming our Chairman, Gilbert Lorkay, and our Deputy Chair, Deborah Chapman. Let's first begin with our referee medals. We have no game without our officials. First and foremost, our lead referee for our Cup final, Rowan Fisher. Assistant referee, Isaac Riggs. Assistant referee, Daniel Konofsky. And our fourth official, Hayden Longols. Well done to our officials, and thank you for all your efforts throughout the Waratah Cup and here this evening. Let's now move on to our player of the match. Plenty of great competitors out there this evening and certainly a number of decent options. But with the assistance of our very own Football New South Wales journalist, the winner of the 2026 player of the match from Sydney United is, with 2 goals to his name, Mason Wells. Congratulations, Mason. Let's now move on to today's runners-up. Could I please have the captain of APIA Leichhardt, Sean Simmons.
Congratulations, Sydney United. Great game, like it always is. Don't worry about it, boys. We'll bounce back. We've got a league to win. Thanks, guys. Eddie. Presley. Franz. Coots. Shaw. Segs. Fongy. Ollie. Fabs. Reggie. Sayer. Frankie. Shuey. Bugsy. Mikey. Kishi. Maxi. Frankie. Dave. Dopuzzo. Jem. Yuchi. Where are they? Barney. Rory. Levi. Where is it?
Sean, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for your runners-up once again, APIA Leichhardt. Let's now move on to our champions. Could I please have the captain of Sydney United, Adrian Rastalitsa.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate APIA and again making another final, another great game. You guys always manage to make it to the big games, and we love having great contests. So I want to congratulate Davey, Franco and Sean and the APIA boys in another great contest and leading the way in the NPL, and I'm sure we'll see you in another big game this year. So thank you guys. To our boys, massive effort again tonight. We love this competition. Great to get a win and back-to-back, so I'm sure we'll enjoy it again tonight. And a massive thank you to all our fans who turn out every week and who are our 12th men and push us over the line in these big games. Without you guys, make it 10 times harder. And again, to our coaching staff, backroom staff, and everyone that keeps us on the pitch who don't get the accolades, thank you guys. Without you guys, we're not here either. Thank you. Gings, Bailey, Rosie, Glass, Pava, Carlos, Geordie, Leroy, Krilla, Kyle, Gabby, Mile, Koya, Waratah, Wellesley, Bazina, Pratsy, Faz, Tommy Ozanich, Tomo, Sammy, Ronnie, Miro, Tommy, D. How many got left? Razor. On your Razor. On your Ronnie.
And now, of course, time for the official trophy here, presented by our Football New South Wales chair, Gilbert Ward.
Stop.